This event happened a long time ago, and I don't expect anything to change just because I've finally decided to talk about it. By the same token, I don't want ICBC to defend what they did by saying something like, that was then and we wouldn't do that now. More dishonesty will just bring more criticism from me. I remember this event as if it happened yesterday and offer it as a warning to others who might do business with ICBC. Just before I transferred out of the North Van Claims Center, ICBC began the Employee Suggestion Program. They offered an assessed amount for ideas that improved ICBC, and for ideas that saved money, they offered 5% of the savings for 5 years. It was viewed by most employees as a joke when they immediately gave someone $100 for suggesting putting a microwave in the head office lunchroom. Everyone else just forgot about it, but at this time I still believed in ICBC and saw this as an opportunity. One afternoon in the Coquitlam Claims Center, I was sitting at a desk in the drive-in tube calling United Auto Wreckers. The estimators' phones had auto dialers because we always called the same places, about 10 Surrey auto recyclers. Each phone had the same list of names. Beside each name was a single button which we pressed, heard several beeps, and then waited for someone to answer. While I was waiting, it occurred to me that the number of beeps should match the phone number, and it seemed like it didn't. I assumed these phones were using 800 numbers. As a shop manager, I'd use those all the time. I took a look at the phone and noticed a fine crack around the cover, which indicated to me that the actual numbers might be hidden under the cover beside each auto wrecker's name, which was exposed, of course, so we knew who we were calling. There was nothing in the claim center sharp enough to pry the cover off, so the next day I brought a small jackknife from home, and during a break I removed it. I was shocked to see only 7-digit numbers with a 1 prefix, which is what we used, before for long distance. Long distance charges were so grossly high at that time that all the major auto wreckers had toll-free numbers. Because I didn't know how widespread this practice was, my wording on the submission to the Employee Suggestion Program was all auto dialer phones should be checked to see that toll-free numbers are programmed in whenever possible. A small group of adjusters gathered at my desk to estimate how much ICBC owed me. The general consensus was that I had saved the corporation about $250,000 a year. If their estimate was correct, it meant that at least $4 million had already been spent needlessly. I should explain about the wording on my submission. All auto dialer phones should be checked. The reason I put it that way is because I was only familiar with the claim centers and actually only with the estimators' phones in the drive-in tube and in our offices. So I wasn't sure how many auto dialer phones there were at ICBC in all the departments. So I wanted to cover the whole thing. Otherwise, it would be a half suggestion. It wouldn't even be a real one. I submitted my idea late on a Friday, and on the following Wednesday, a guy in a gray uniform came in with a small toolbox and reprogrammed every phone. Myself and a few other employees asked estimators at other claim centers if the same thing had happened there. They all said yes. I figured close to 300 estimators in BC, that's out of 375 at the time, were outside the Surrey calling area. And of course that meant that all the major auto wreckers were in Surrey, and 300 of the estimators were outside that area. Based on my own usage, I estimated they were spending from 30 to 90 minutes per week each on long distance calls, which should have been free. So that's 300 estimators every week, each of them spending at least half an hour on the phone to the Surrey auto wreckers. For the next 6 months, I was asked by fellow employees if I had heard anything from the Employee Suggestion Program. Finally, when my supervisor asked me and I said they had not responded, he phoned them. They refused to tell him anything, but about a week after that, I received a letter stating that I deserved nothing. because I had merely pointed out an oversight of management. My idea to change their policy of trusting BC Tel that had existed for 16 years was not worthy of the reward. That's right, I have since found out that BC Tel originally programmed these phones. Since when are ICBC managers expected to oversee a BC Tel employee's work? Why didn't I fight ICBC right then? Most people won't understand even after I tell them. I was suffering from clinical depression after just getting divorced that same year. Plus I had applied for a supervisor's position at ICBC. And at the same time, I was being pressured to leave ICBC. My unhealthy mind needed to escape the stress. So I got my real estate license and I quit.